Still winter, still winter. More Trainiacs. Here, I'm gonna risk life and limb. These here are the new Nike Infinity React shoes with the Flyknit upper. Now these have been specifically designed to reduce the likelihood of injury, and Nike did a bunch of testing showing that the people who ran in this, and I've been running in this for 2 months now, doing the vast majority of my meat and potatoes runs in this, that they had a lower incidence of occurrences of things that related to injury. So I wanted to try this. I'm gonna review this today. I really like the shoe, but there's definitely some things that you need to know about it before shelling out your dough on it. All right, I got cold tootsies, really cold. Let's do this. What's up, Trainiacs? With everything that's going on in the world, what we're trying to do with all of our partners out there is, instead of just making videos and reviewing things, we're trying to strong arm the leverage that we've got with the partners and get you some good news in this time. So we are this weekend reviewing all these shoes. Roadrunner Sports has provided them to me. This isn't a sponsored video. They haven't paid me to do this, but they provided the shoes, and I said, let's run a giveaway so that anyone who wants to win one of these shoes, the Adidas Adizero Adios 5, the Nike Infinity Run React Flyknit, which we're gonna be reviewing today, and the Brooks Revel 2, people can enter to win their choice of what this is. So a little bit of good news for you. Today, let's get into one of the sizzliest shoes that's been released at the start of 2020. This is the Nike React Infinity Run Flyknit. This is Nike's attempt at making a shoe that is completely designed to reduce injuries. And apparently, they've done that. I got some questions. I'm skeptical. Nike did a study as they were developing this, and they took runners and they ran them in this versus another Nike shoe, and they claim that the incidence of injuries between this shoe and the other Nike shoe, this shoe reduced the occurrence of injury by 52%. That's huge. That is enormous. This is like, call your podiatrist and your orthopedic surgeons and tell them that they're going to be out of business because runners aren't going to be coming in. Seriously. The claim is that this flared out side, the entire base that is really flared out, the heel that's flared out, everything that's flared out on all sides, as you're landing, it gives you proprioception, that is a feeling of where your body is in space, and it makes you aware of where your feet are so you can firmly plant your foot on the ground, and it gives you a more firm bedding to basically just have every single foot strike. It's also got this massive rock that is going to smoothly, as opposed to slap and then you go forward, it's just going to gradually roll you forward into each foot strike. Now, here's my question. If it was as simple as saying, we're going to design a shoe that reduces injury, and then first crack out, they reduce injury rates by 52%, I'm pretty mad at like 40 years of shoe technology that have been just lackadaisical, making shoes, letting us get injured. Here's me being a skeptic, just on first principles, on logic. If it was that easy to make a shoe that reduces injury rates that significantly, why didn't somebody do it long ago? And why was it so easy? Because making this shoe and having it just instantly be exactly what you were hoping for first try out is kind of like that Happy Gilmore quote.
Man, that was so much easier than putting. I should just try to get the ball in one shot every time.
Good play.
Now here's the thing. Does that mean that I don't like the shoe? Actually, no. I think it's like, I love this shoe. I have done most of my runs in this shoe over the last 2 months. This is one of my favorite shoes right now, so much that I was thinking about running in this versus running in the Nike Vaporfly 4%. Like, injury propaganda or injury statistics or injury study aside, it's still a really good shoe that I like a lot. So let's get into it. It's 9.6 ounces, which is a little bit on the heavier side, but it doesn't really ride like a heavier shoe. It rides like a much lighter shoe, like a 7.5, 7.8 ounce kind of shoe. It's nice, light, it's springy. It's got Nike React foam, so at $160, that foam is probably gonna last a fair bit of time. So even at that slightly more expensive $160 range, which for Nike is borderline cheap, I think this is going to last a fairly decent amount of time. In addition to that, what we've got on the entire outsole here is nice, tough rubber. And I've put a huge amount of miles into these shoes, and still the rubber is not worn down to nothing. Probably put, if I had to guess, 100 to 150 miles, maybe more in this shoe, which is where my shoes tend to fall apart. But in this case, I'm still running on it. It still has a nice amount of spring with every foot strike. It still isn't scuffed up. It's a little dirty, but I mean, it hasn't really fallen apart. It hasn't collapsed. So I think at that 160 bucks, it's a decent dollar per mile kind of shoe. It's got a 30 millimeter heel and a 25 millimeter forefoot. So an 8 millimeter heel to toe drop. That would be right along the maximum, the edge of what I would recommend for newer runners, because we know that newer runners tend to do better as their lower leg is developing strength with a more neutral, lower drop kind of shoe. So this shoe, it doesn't tend to ride like a shoe that has a really big heel. So I would say that this can work for seasoned runners or newer runners. Now with that rubber on the outside, with the heavier 9.6 ounces, this is very clearly a daily trainer kind of shoe. Why I like it so much is because daily trainer kind of shoes like the Brooks Revels here tend to never have any sort of snap, never have any sort of pop. They are very clunky, they feel clunky, and you don't really run fast in them. So it feels like it's a daily trainer shoe because you're just going out for slogging sort of miles. This shoe, for whatever reason, what they did in it was they actually made a daily trainer shoe that is also fairly fast. The very first time that I went out in this shoe, I had to check my heart rate monitor to make sure that it was even connected, because I was running at a pace that was like sort of comparable to the Nike Vaporfly 4% at heart rates that I normally don't run that fast in. So what you're getting here is that nice feeling of cushion, of support, of a nice big structured daily trainer kind of shoe while still running fast. So every time I just had like a general low intensity kind of run to go out and do, long runs, things like that, I went towards this shoe. I used this shoe for flat runs that were generally low intensity. I used this shoe for just road hills, which was okay for that. I used this shoe a little bit for some really fast downhill running. I didn't get a chance, and frankly, I don't think I would even test it for trail running, because what this shoe is best at, I think, is just your long, flat sections. Using this shoe for trail running, for really downhill running, for fast running, going around curves and things like that, I think that this flare and everything around here, it might just be a little bit much. What I always found is that as I started turning, I was just feeling a little bit less stable because I was catching the edge of this. So I like it for your general runs, but what I wouldn't use it for is the fast stuff, is the trails, is the track work, is things like that. So who's this shoe for? Well, I would say doesn't matter what your running background is. You can use this if you're a newer runner. You can use this if you are a more seasoned runner. If you're somebody, however, that runs 3 times a week or more, in which case some of those runs are going to be lower intensity and just general out there fitness building kind of runs, this would be a really nice shoe in your arsenal, because you don't always need to be in a fast shoe for that. You can use a higher mileage runner, but in this, you get something that might reduce injury, take a little bit of load off your body while you also get to feel a little bit faster than using just big clunky trainers. So it's just a nice high mileage shoe that might alleviate some injury, and you're gonna feel a lot better in it. And at 160 bucks, it's totally worth it. It's not like the $200, $300, $400 Nike carbon shoes that you really have to make sure that they're gonna be a shoe that you're gonna get a lot out of. At 160 bucks, this is like, you're not gonna go wrong, because there are a lot of daily trainers out there at that same price point, and you might as well try this. If it avoids injury, great. If it doesn't, you still got a faster shoe. Finally, wrapping up, I always say that shoes that I give my stamp of approval to are those shoes that when I'm not even reviewing them, do I keep coming back to them and wanting to run in them? The answer to that in this case is yes. I have used this shoe even after I knew enough about this to do the video. I still kept going back to this shoe even though I had other options because I just like this shoe. So definitely put it on the maybe list, and if you are interested in winning a pair of these, or of the Adidas Adizero 5s, or of the Brooks Revel 2, go to a link in the description below, and Roadrunner Sports and I will be giving away one of 3 pairs of shoes. So you can get your choice. There are 3 prizes there, and you can choose, not even like, you don't want these shoes. You want new shoes that fit you. So that's what you can win. All you have to do is put in your email address. That's it. Hopefully during this time in the world, gives you a little bonus for watching this video. So that's it, Trainiacs. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below and hit the link in the description to win one of these shoes. Later.